Yeah.
Hi. Welcome to Jeffida International. Now it's so exciting to be here with you as always, and we've got something really amazing to share with you. So, sometimes we take a break, we carry on with other things, and then we come back with full force and we're excited to share what we know with you. Now, this is quite amazing what I have for you today. It all starts with who we believe we are. So I'm going to start with questions. Who do you believe you are? I mean, look into yourself. Sometimes there's been some posters, not posters, some, these flyers you see on Facebook and on Instagram, and it says everything. When we're doing something that really touches the soul, we close our eyes. When we're praying, we close our eyes. When apparently we're kissing, we close our eyes. When we're deep in thought, sometimes we close our eyes. And why is that the case? It is the case because apparently we see better with our eyes closed. And that's when you hear people say, use your mind's eyes. Because your physical eyes is not going to... What happens with the physical eyes is it gets a lot of distraction. But when people say go into yoga, go into meditation and all of those things, you completely shut that away. And so you close your eyes. And then you begin to see your inner self. So that's what I'm trying to say to you now. If you can close your eyes and begin to ask yourself, what do I really believe? And who do I believe I am? Today, it's about belief. And the title is, it all starts with our belief. Your life begins with your belief. So, if you know who you believe yourself to be, do you think you're going to let anybody else tell you otherwise about yourself? Now, I know I've done a video here before where I explained that. Very interestingly, the reason I love reading, which I always encourage all of us to do, is, you see, when I read various books, this one is called Conversations with God, which is really mind-blowing, one of my favorite books at the moment. And then, of course, The Power of Positive Thinking, which started me on this journey years ago as a young child. Biology of Belief, they all connect. And The Science of Getting Rich. Now, Conversations with God is explaining that the first stages for creation, which is mainly our mission on earth. I haven't finished it, but I'm beginning to get that hints of it. Remember, we also did a book on what on earth am I here for, what are my role, what's my life mission, the purpose-driven life. And so he says, the process of creation, I'm going to definitely do a video on this one. The process of creation starts with a thought. So you think about something, and then from thinking about it, then you speak about it. It comes out of your mouth, and then you act on what you've just spoken. Those are the three major stages. But see, I have done a video here before where I explained that the process also goes a bit further behind. What creates your thoughts starts with your belief. That's why I said life begins with your belief. What creates that thought that you turn into words, then becomes action and becomes your reality, starts with your belief. So, whatever you think you are is what's going to guide you with the way you think. So, the reason I really want us to really think about this, deeply is because, especially those of us from minority or ethnic minority areas, in the West in particular, the way we think about ourselves, which I've done lots of videos again about, all about the brainwashing and what's it called, slavery did to our thinking. The way we believe about ourselves is what's been creating the way we think. And the way we think is what's also creating what we speak. Hence, you read books about positive thinking and cut out the negativity. Now, unknowingly to us, the words we're speaking then becomes what we actually act upon. And that's what's really holding us back. So that's why it was such a transformation moment for me to understand that we need to go right back to that belief. How do we work on our belief? I mean, there's a passage in the Bible where I think it was John the Baptist's disciples that John the Baptist asked them and said, "What do you believe I am?" Or "Who do you believe I am?" And they were all telling different things. We think you're the Christ. We think you're the one before the Christ. We think, and what you think about people, what you believe they are, and what they believe themselves to become, or who they think they are, is what's going to actually generate who you actually become. So I think we really need to give this belief thing a really thorough thinking. We need to really give it time to sink into our thinking. You know what we always represent here? Let's start thinking. Because if we don't think, we're never going to pull ourselves out of the situations we find ourselves in. I mean, reading the conversations we got, there's so many things that are coming out that are really intriguing to me. You see, whatever situation you have put yourself, I know generally we all want to say, that person caused it, that person caused it. It's because this person did this, that's why I'm here. It's because that person did that, that's why my life is like this. No, it all comes down to us. Because no one's going to force you. I know there are countries where there's still, all the crazy governments you can think about, where military governments are in positions, or where there are wars where people don't have a say. But in the Western world, it's not really like that. At least there's some. I know when you watch the movie The Matrix, and we know that there's control everywhere in weird ways that you don't really see in your eye, with your eyes. Like they don't make it look like they're controlling you, but they are controlling you for obvious reasons. As far as they are concerned, they probably will say to you, "We're trying to create law and order." And I know in the US it's absolutely crazy, especially with the with the police and the way they look at black people in particular. But it is whatever it is that we have allowed ourselves to accept that's creating this reaction that's following it. So the sooner we actually allow ourselves to understand who we truly are, the sooner we can move our lives to the next level. And I can tell you clearly, especially I am an African, and it's one of the biggest things we are also struggling with. Now, when you really look at every human being that's been created by God, God created all of us equal. If we are going to look into every religion that we've looked at, we are all one human being. We are all a part of God. But what then happens as we get onto earth? That things start to change. That people start to tell you, "Well, I'm richer than you, so I can treat you anyhow I like." "Oh, well, I'm not black and I'm white, so you know what? I have some rights that you don't have." or I am Mexican and you are Chinese, so I can treat you anyhow. We start creating this segregation and discrimination. All of that is happening right here. God did not create any of that. And so if we want to pull ourselves out of these situations that we find ourselves, the first stages we're going to have to look back at is what we believe about ourselves. And for me, when I look back at history, yes, sometimes you hear, oh yeah, forget history, don't look into history. But you see, history guides us to create our future. Because when we look back into history, there are lessons we learn. Oh yeah, I don't want to repeat this particular time. Oh, this one was really good, so let's take it on. And this one, okay, it's in between. So you make your own informed choices or decisions based on what you know that's happened in the past. And we know that people fought. People died in the process of creating peace, of giving all of us equality or some kind of rights. I mean, the other day I was having a chat with my daughter and we were talking about ability to vote. And, it's got into that stage where there's something they call voters apathy, where people don't really care anymore, Oh, it's voters there, oh yeah, who cares? They're going to do what they like anyway. I'm not even bothered. And I said to her, it's your right to vote. Now, people died. When you look into British history, they have what they call the suffragettes, and these women were fighting that women should have the right to vote. And they were killed in the process. Lots of them were in prison. All kinds of things happen. When you watch that movie, it touches you. And today they've fought and they've achieved their right. And what then do we do? Oh, I couldn't care less. So you only way to act on something when nothing is difficult. So when we go back into looking at us black people, look at all the things that happened. Martin Luther King and all the things that they went through to fight for black rights. But today, we've taken on the fact that slavery messed around with our mentality, and so we've accepted. We've accepted what we shouldn't be accepting. And that's why, I remember I read, or I've shown you people that book in the past, Brainwashed. One of those really, really good books about what happened with slavery and what happened to our thinking. This is where things like that came from. Miseducation of the Negro. That's another book. That begins to explain that this whole thing about belief came from situations that happened to us in the past. So situations that happened in the past. And generally, when people start to look back into what they think about themselves, you tend to find that most times it starts with the home, maybe your relatives, maybe your parents, maybe your best friends. Oh, who do you think you are? Say you had an idea, you wanted to do something. Oh, that's never going to happen. Who do you think you are? And so when they start telling you things like that, your belief about what you were going to do changes. And then you carry on, and maybe you go out into the open community, and you then hear people start saying to you, especially in school, let's say you are doing well, especially, again, black people, and then I've heard so many stories of people being told when they go to the careers office and they go, oh yeah, you are thinking of studying medicine or studying, no. The good one for your people is to go into sports. The good one for your people is there was a hairdresser that taught me once, and she said she wanted to study hairdressing. No. The good one for your people is to become a nurse. And so automatically the teachers are telling you something, the careers office is telling you something, and so you start to build up a belief about who you are. And that belief now begins to create what your ideas about yourself should be. And when we're not looking at the school, we're not looking at your family, you're looking at your friends. And then your friends will also put this mental thing in your head to say, this is not good enough. You're not good enough for that role because. And then they start planting things into your head. You then have that image about yourself. So, the big message from this video is, whatever it is that everyone around you has been able to put into your thinking, put into your head, which I tell you right now, I read a post recently, it was really shocking. It said, our brain was not made to deal with the amount of pressure that we're dealing with right now. It's just too much. When you pick up a phone and you start to scroll, it's endless. And then the number of apps you have to download onto your phone, and not to talk about the places you have to go, not to talk about the number of jobs you have to deal with in order to survive. According to the pastor I used to go to his church, in order to survive one life, you have to take on 20 jobs. And so the activities around us are so much. And the noise, all this is creating noise in our thinking. And it's all this noise that's adding up to give you a belief about who you are. And that's why I said, close your eyes and sit in a quiet place and really ask yourself, who do I believe that I really am? Now, some of the things you really need to know that you are is you're God's child. You are a creation from God. And you were created in the pure image of God. I saw a picture recently that somebody circulated again on Facebook. And this young lady's face was badly burnt. Badly burnt, you know. The face has dropped here and dropped there, and yes, I'm sure doctors did an amazing job to pull the face together. And it was like, it's her birthday, please help to share the message and wish her happy birthday. But you see, this is what most of us forget about life. Our physical form is not what our soul is. I know I've talked about this in some videos. Our soul doesn't have a face, doesn't have a form, doesn't have all of these things that we are seeing on the physical realm. Our soul doesn't have any of that. And when God is looking at us, He's looking at us from the soul point of view. So all of the things that we're chasing and hoping and wishing, and the noise that we're dealing with and all of that is just things that end up right here. It ends here. Our body doesn't go with us. And that's why when somebody moves on or because I really don't enjoy using the word death, but when somebody dies, the body remains here. And so the question becomes, where has the person gone? That thing that actually allows us to move around and speak and be visible and be active and interact with people, that's the soul. And so if we look at ourselves from a soul point of view, we are so amazing. We are so great. We don't conform to anyone. So all of this racism and all of this telling you because you're like this, you should be like that, and people giving you a belief that is not real, that's not who you are. You're greater than what you are seeing. You're greater than what you are believing. Because I know so many amazing people who will not come out of their shell just because someone's mentally ingrained into them a belief about themselves. So the sooner you pull out of this negative belief that they fed you with, this belief of let me control you, this belief, another video I'm gonna do, I think it's in another video, where I'm explaining that the reason for all these behaviors, the reason man tends to want to control another man is it's like a situation of the bully in school, where this bully wants to control everybody else and make sure that as you come to school, you respect him, you hand over your dinner money to him, and then whatever food you brought from home, you give it to him. That's what's going on with the world. Somebody always wants to control another. And so, how can we possibly control them? I think it was this brainwash that I explained. If it's not brainwash, it's definitely miseducation of the Negro. It says, when they finished messing around with your mental thinking, even if they showed you the door, you can go through there. You would choose not to. You say, no, I'm better off taking through the back door. Because they've now got your thinking in a way that they want it to be. To not love yourself anymore. To not hate yourself. To not look at yourself with disgust. Do not think that there's something wrong with you. They've told you things you don't want that is not necessarily true. That is not good for you. Because it serves them a purpose. And for us in Africa, this is the situation we're in. With all the wealth Africa has, Africans are still dependent on the West because of the belief that we have about ourselves. The belief that we're not worthy, the belief that we're inferior, the belief that we're insecure, the belief, and when you take it from a continent point of view, you take it to a country point of view, you take it to an individual point of view, there is somebody out there who always wants to lord it over the other. There's always a system that wants to make everybody feel not good enough. They start saying to you, we're going to give you an award for doing such an amazing thing. You are complete. You don't need a human being to give you an award for you to trust yourself, for you to know that you are somebody. You don't need unnecessary competition and unnecessary, jealousy and envy and why is that person doing better than me when I'm supposed? All of those things are based on the fact that you do not know who you are. I know I've done a video where I said know who you are, but now it comes down to how you translate your knowledge of yourself into your reality. Because that belief you have, if you have that belief to say, I am God's creation and God gave me power to go and multiply the world. God gave me power to have power over all his other creation. God gave me power to become great. God gave me power to know who I am, that I'm a part of him. All of this knowledge will help to change any belief anybody had put in your mentality that has held you down. Because once you believe negative about yourself, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. No matter, I've seen people, no matter how amazing they are, and you say to them, this is amazing, they go, no, you're only saying that for the sake of it. Nobody thinks that I'm good enough. This is nothing. I'm not good enough. But why? Yeah. Why? Because someone planted this belief into your head. Someone had given you that image. And so, when your belief is wrong, everything else goes wrong. That's the big message. So, it starts with that belief. Now, how do we improve belief? How do we make belief better? This is where all the books come in. Because I tell you, for me in particular, coming to the West, a lot went into my head. A lot happened to me. Way back in Africa, I knew who I was and I achieved the things I wanted and I was getting ahead. I had no issues. No one. Growing up as a young child, that's the one thing my dad put in me. No one is better than you. And that stuck with me. But coming to the West, it has been a struggle, but how did I overcome it? Through reading. Through reading. Because you be around people and suddenly you're speaking and you'll be told, I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I don't know what you're saying. Because in their head, you have an African accent and that's not good enough. But a French person will come and drag his accent and that's okay. Oh, it sounds so sexy. The African will come and suddenly, what did you say? What do you mean? I don't get that. And it carries on till today. And so they have so many ways they throw these things in. I was with a group of women and they were talking about another woman from a minority area as well. And it's like whispering to me, oh well, but you know those people, they stink. And I'm thinking, this is your general attitude about people? So now my question to myself, if you were telling me about another ethnic group in that format, what would you say about me when I'm not there? And these are the little things that get into your mentality and your thinking, and you're suddenly beginning to question yourself, I'm not good enough. You know, I read somewhere on Facebook or so where somebody said, we should understand that English is a language. It is just a language. It's just like I speak my dialect Kana. It's just like in Nigeria we have 200 uncountable number of dialects. You could go to any of the tribes in Nigeria and speak that dialect and they go, I don't understand it. Or they could have a laugh and go, oh, you didn't pronounce that well. So English language is the same thing as you speaking any other language. Same thing as if you went to France and you spoke French and it didn't sound good enough. Or you went to China and you spoke Mandarin and it didn't sound good enough. That's the same thing with English language. Years ago when I started doing videos here, people were like, oh, I don't understand your accent. And I said, you're lucky there's even an accent to understand, because I could have been speaking my language. And then you could have told me if you understood that or not. I have made an effort to learn to speak your language. Don't start nitpicking. Because then when they carry on like that, I don't understand your accent, I don't know how you pronounce that, suddenly you start feeling inferior. Brainwashing. And these are the things that caused all the problems. There was a video I watched once and it was about 400 years without a comb. It's on YouTube. And then they were touching black people's skin and they go, oh, does that rub off? I know a lady who went to work in Wales and apparently when she got there, when she went to the ladies' room to use the restroom, people were running in to go and see what color whatever she passed out looked like because she's black. We are having that right now with football as well, or soccer as the Americans would call it. Black players have been taunted on the field and thrown bananas at because in their head they are monkeys. And so you have to deal with all these negative emotions, and so you start creating a belief in your head, I'm not good enough. My earrings falling off. So that's the thing we're dealing with. That's what I want us to sort out. Go back into yourself, and the solution is start reading up things. When I read this book, The Biology of Belief, it opened my mind about belief. It is not what anyone tells you that you are. You are complete. You are consciousness, subconsciousness, superconsciousness. Your mind, body, and soul. You are thoughts, you are words, you are action. So, when I read this book, Conversations with God, it started explaining these things for me. That's what is called the Trinity. When it comes to God, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. So, there's a three aspect of who we are, and that's all you should ever think about. That's all you should ever know. Anything anyone tells you, they have an agenda. Their agenda is always control. How can I control this person such that I'll be better than that person? You start hearing superiority. And that's where I don't want you to be. Don't want you to take on anyone's image or what they think you are. You know who you are. And once you know who you are, you believe that you are great. You believe that you are God's creation. And then the thoughts, God starts to speak to you. And from your thoughts becomes your words. Your words become your action. Your action becomes your habits. Your habits become your life. And so it gets better. Because the truth about life, which I have taken my time to think about this. You know what? If you're born and you decide to go into a house and lock yourself up and say, you know what, I don't want to interact with the world. I want to just sit in this house and my life will be amazing. Lock yourself up. The day your life will be over, it will be over. If you never had any interaction with the world, you never got hurt, you never got upset, life was perfect, life will still be over. So, mainly from the day you're born, the journey of life starts. The journey of life starts. Things start to happen. God is already counting. We are here on a mission to achieve something, to add to life, to contribute, to give. Every day I come here, I'm giving a piece of me. I'm doing my mission. And I know you have a mission to give. Something to make life better. That's the whole idea. And so you say to yourself, you know what, everyone's got to me, everyone's telling me I'm rubbish, so that's it, I'm not going to do nothing for the world. Whether we like it or not, the journey of life carries on. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm hoping my message on belief is very clear. My name is Joy Fido, and thank you so much for watching our programs. We look forward to seeing you in the next video. And happily, please follow us on all the social media, because we are constantly updating information. Constantly. Facebook, Instagram, and of course YouTube. We'd like for you to have a better, greater, happier life. See you in the next video, and God bless you.